Welcome to Your Energy First, the podcast where intuition meets mindset for aligned decisions in life and business. I'm your host, Emily McNaughton, here to help guide you in unlocking your unique energy and create success your way. Welcome, everyone, back to the podcast. I'm so excited. I have a very special guest with us today, and that is Shaman Dani Burling of Your Sacred Destiny. Dani is a Reiki Master, a Theta Healer, Hypnotherapist, sound healer, drumming facilitator, and Master Shaman. She is located in California. She has spent over 20 years studying with the shamans of Peru and has served as the resident shaman at not one, but three #1 resorts. Her work is all about teaching universal tools to bring your body, emotions, energy field, and life back into balance and helping you open up to the dreams that are on their way to you. Dani holds retreats. She has 2 active ones coming up here, workshops, private sessions, and group experiences, all centered around helping you reconnect with the truth of who you really are. I personally have had the privilege of working with her. I so appreciate, Dani, your grounded presence and your ability to hold and help move big energy with a groundedness, clarity, and integrity. And the way that you deliver spiritual truth with directness and heart has always meant a lot to me. Welcome.
Thank you. What a sweet intro.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dani, what is a shaman?
Good question, right? I said the same thing when I was first scheduled a session. To me, a shaman is somebody who does 3 things. One, they clear your energy of your thoughts and emotions and the thoughts and emotions of everybody else, because that energy creates your reality. So if it's poisoned or there's negative energy in it from all your thoughts and emotions, it can create a reality that you don't want. So you have to clear that energy consciously. So while people are laying on my table, I'm pulling their thoughts and emotions out of their body and their energy field. Then we do healing on where that energy came from. You have to do the healing part. Otherwise, the mind continues to go to that same place. So then we do healing, whether it's this lifetime, past lifetimes, the emotions of our ancestors that are in our DNA. And then once we do that healing, then I take you into different dimensions to find answers to your life, why you're here, why everything has happened to you, what your purpose is, and bring in new energy. So then the universe can bring you that energy that's matching what you're holding at the end of the session.
I love that. Thank you. How do you know which energy or which thoughts to remove and which ones need to remain?
Well, there's only 2 emotions, and those are fear of the mind and love of the heart and the soul. So anything under the mind, which is, to me, a 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum, we have to clear those emotions because it breaks down your body, it breaks down your relationships, it can break down your direction in life, your career, your finances. So those are the emotions that we clear.
Beautiful. There's a couple of people I meet. There's the people that want everything you just said in that 1 hour to 90-minute session. Fix me, reset, done, and I'm on my way. And then there's the folks that do this for 20, 30 years and feel like every time they're just scratching the surface. So in your experience, what have you found has helped people really move the needle within themselves? Because as we know, you're the facilitator of their journey, right? Like you're helping guide them. So what's something someone can bring to the table if they're like, Dani, I just feel like I'm on the precipice of this change?
I think the work that I do is really, really deep. And a lot of people come to me and say they've done 20, 30 years of work, but when they take it to, I feel like a lot of people haven't healed this lifetime. They don't know the lesson of their soul. They don't know why their mind defaults to certain emotions. They don't know the truth of who they are, that energy of their soul. Those are like basic foundational energies that need to be healed. As a shaman, we're connected to the earth. And so Mother Earth is dark and rich, and from her darkness grows her untamed beauty of the plants and the trees and the flowers, so she can grow towards the light that she is. In our dark emotions gives us the opportunity to grow our untamed beauty towards the light that we are as well.
I love that. How do you yourself maintain that on a day-to-day basis? What does that look like for you?
Oh, it's always about, staying out of your head. It's about connecting to the lineage. It's about connecting to all the archetypes that are in my chakras. It's about, seeing my shaman if I have, life goes like this. And if
Yeah.
it goes like this, we better get some work done. Otherwise, we could crash and burn or something could show up. So we always have to be doing the work to continue to grow and evolve. And so many times it's like, okay, I need to see my shaman because I'm human and, life has its ups and downs.
Yeah, of course. I love that you shared that too, that you see your shaman. I mentioned that to you privately before we got on this podcast that I had just gotten out of a session with my the rowdy poet, who I call my therapist. And this is, there's a, do you find that what are some of the biggest misconceptions you're seeing currently around spirituality? That's kind of a leading subject because I do think a lot of people think in order for me to become a healer myself, my life has to be perfect.
Oh no. Well, a couple things. One, I feel like you need a guide. You can't do it on your own. You can't read a book. You can't think that you're going to meditate on your own because you have to have somebody that can take you somewhere that you've never gone before to find answers that you never knew existed and the wisdom that lies inside of you. That's one. The second one is I have a lot of people that like to be blinded by the light and they see that everything is like always good. I had one of my students who was stung by 9 wasps and she was looking at it as a positive. And I was telling her, no, your guides will not sting you, right? Your enemies sting you. So there's something in that darkness that needs to be looked at, that needs to be healed because your soul and spirit is telling you that you're holding an energy that needs to be cleared.
Okay. I like this. So when you say we need a guide who can take us there, can you elaborate on that a little bit? What does that mean?
That means that you can't find that answer, I feel like, in a book because you have to me, a lot of people will come to me like from the resorts and say, all the guests are saying their session with you was amazing, but I don't believe any of it. And
Hmm.
I'm only here because I'm skeptical and I want to see what you can do.
Totally, totally.
Right? And so the intention is I'm going to take them to places that the mind says doesn't even exist. I don't even believe in because literally you can't believe anything unless you experience it. You have to go through the process. You can't read it in the book and say, oh, I've had a past life in Egypt because I see Egypt or I'm connected to Egypt. But really, as a shaman in Egypt, you had a past life where you died and you died with a belief. And unless somebody can guide you to understand how that lesson has followed you into this lifetime and how do you heal that with a soul retrieval for shaman, then you are missing some pieces.
Yeah.
People come to me wanting ayahuasca, and it's like, I don't do ayahuasca. I study with the mountain shamans. You're going to feel high as a kite when you get off my table and light and airy and all that. But when people go on ayahuasca journeys, sometimes they have these visions and they don't know what they mean. And so, because you don't have a guide that's already been there that can show them the path to find the answers that they're looking for.
Sure, absolutely. And what I hear you saying is you've walked this path for decades. You know how to safely go there. You know how to take them through the dimensions of themselves so that they don't get lost, so that they do come back to their current state.
Lost is a big one. In some of the books, it'll say, here's a pathway to a dimension, and I'm going to give you the path, and then it'll be a warning, but don't go there because you can get stuck. So why would they put it in the book?
I know. I
So
know.
lots of warnings for my students, don't go there. Don't go there until, we go through all the rules, until I show you the path, until I show you what's there in that dimension, until I show you, how to navigate it. And they're like learning how to fish instead of, me taking them fishing. And so they're learning to find all that wisdom themselves and they need a guide sometimes so that they don't fall down.
Right, right. It's interesting. You had touched on the ayahuasca spirit and how you need a guide to take you there. And it's my take that currently in our culture, so much has been watered down. Ayahuasca is something that calls to us for a period of time, and then we find the right person to help guide us there
Yes.
through it versus, oh, I'm going to go on an ayahuasca trip, over and over again in lieu of me practicing in my day to day.
I totally agree with you because people tell me, yes, I'm spiritual. I meditate every day
Right.
for 5 minutes. As a shaman, spirituality is 24 hours a day.
Amen. It is. It is. It is. Yeah. I know. I always tell people, I hope I'm the healer that doesn't look like what you
want or something like that. It's just like, I'm going to be who I'm going to be and I'll help who I'm going to help. And I think that's important too. There needs to be variety too in the different types of guides and how people bring their own unique work forward. So when you talk about the foundational rules, what are some of the principles and the rules that you live by as you practice this work for yourself and for others?
So important. And I do want to say that I do want to do ayahuasca. I have not yet, but
Sure.
I would want to go to the Amazon and do it with ayahuasca and shamans there, where I feel held in the original indigenous cultures. So that's I'm hearing a lot of people are doing it, not in that tradition. So that's the only thing is I honor their tradition. So,
Thank you. Of course. Absolutely.
right?
Thank you for clarifying that. That's important.
So the shaman is about understanding that your energy creates your reality. So everything is a mirror of your energy. So I can never go around pointing my finger at anybody else. I don't like the way you're acting. I don't like the way you're treating me, because all fingers point back to me. And so as shaman, it's understanding I'm the creator. I created that moment. I created that situation. So I could see the shadow and the projection that's going on and recognize if there's something I don't like, I need to work on me. What a different world it would be if we couldn't blame anybody else, and we needed to realize that it's a part of our growth that we're seeing out there that we need to heal inside of here.
Amen. It can be daunting at first when you hear that. I think back in my 20s when I was dancing between the way I was raised versus realizing we create our reality and the responsibility that that takes. I would go back and forth for a while, and it's definitely something that takes a bit of time to get used to, for me anyway. So it did. Now, here we are. So you have been helping guide others for almost 20 years now. Has it been a little bit longer than that? What have you noticed has changed in how people approach the work you guide them through 15 plus years ago versus today? Do people come to you with the same things? What's kind of evolved?
The first thing that comes to my mind is people, like I probably have 90% of my clients that say they have narcissists in their lives. Never 15 years ago did that word ever
Right.
come up. And so I feel like that energy of the narcissist is in the world for a reason. And so that energy is different. But when I taught the medicine wheel, like 15 years ago, their evolution took a long time. Maybe it's because of the teacher I was, but now the classes, they're like transforming so quickly. And they're just like quantum leaping into this amazing energy of wisdom. And it's just so beautiful and so heart-wrenching, and like creates tears because it's like powerful.
Yes, agreed. That's so interesting you say that. I've been witnessing the same thing with the groups I work with, and I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, so what does this mean for the next 10 years?
Right?
Rock and roll. So when you say the energy of the narcissist has its place here, what have you noticed? Like, what's been the trigger that's activated people?
I think we have a lot of rescuers in the world who are wanting to take care of other people. So I always tell people about the triangle. There's also the victims that want to be taken care of, and there's also the bullies that never feel taken care of. And we always fall on that triangle somewhere in relationships, and we default to one of them. And to me, the bully is the narcissist, and they're the ones that never feel loved, and they're the ones that lash out because they have issues in their past and they have anger residing inside. And so the rescuers and the victims will attract the narcissists or the bullies in their lives. And so in a session, I'm always putting those puzzle pieces together for them to help them see where that energy is coming from. But also that narcissist then of the victim and the rescuer also lies inside that narcissist, because sometimes we could be narcissistic to ourselves as well.
Yes. Oh, that's so fascinating. I just learned that someone can be a victim and a narcissist, not in the most blatant, obvious textbook terms, but like a good person, a well-meaning person even. And it's been such a teacher for me. You mentioned the medicine wheel. Do you mind letting us know what that means for you?
Oh, it's the wisdom of the shaman and the journey that the shaman takes. And it's a very deep and just like, it's deep, it's healing. It can be dark. It can be, traumatic to re-experience, this lifetime and past lifetimes and the pain of our ancestors. And so the medicine wheel is like this journey that the shaman takes to become this person of understanding, how the world really works. And you start by healing this lifetime and why you came here and what your lesson is and why everything has happened to you. And so you go through all that energy, how you clear the energy field, the truth of who you are. Then you go to heal the ancestral pieces and how their emotions lie inside of you and how they affect your body in different ways, and how weapons from a past life can be impacting your energy field and causing pain in your body. And how do you pull that energy from a past life out of the body so the pain in the body goes away? And then some of the people who die, spirits, ghosts, don't go back to the light. And they can go inside of us, they can be in the house, they can be on the land. And how do you send that energy back to the light? So that's the second direction of understanding the world is so much bigger than the mind gives us the ability to comprehend. And then the third direction is about past lives. And what I had told you about past lives and how you understand those past lives and how you do healing and bring back soul parts to bring your soul back into wholeness. And then the last direction is about the magic and how you are that divine creator and how you can create dreams beyond your mind, what your mind can imagine. And then I teach master's classes on that, on how you apply it into your life. So it creates a community for me to have like-minded people. And then it creates like just amazing souls in the world today.
It absolutely does. When someone creates, so say someone, I'm going to backtrack this question for a moment. How often do you see people staying comfortable in the cycle and the loop of continuing to heal versus getting into creative mode? And even when we're in creative mode and when we're realizing our dreams, we still go back into the healing process, of course. But one of the things I'm starting to notice in our culture is people staying in the comfort of the healing.
Right. Life, our mind has 70,000 emotions a day or 70,000 thoughts a day. Well, that's a lot. And they're not all under the energy of love.
Women have double that. Okay.
Right. Yeah. In short amount of time.
Yes. Yeah.
And because of that, we can create magic, and then we could create, an angry moment, within seconds of each other. And so it's always, and reading those signs all the time, before, so you can heal the accident before it happens. So you can heal the body before it creates dis-ease. And so that you're always consciously aware of, what's really happening inside of you that's being reflected outside of you, so that you can keep on that path of why you came here this lifetime.
So say someone books sessions with you, they decide they're going to go on this healing journey. What are some of the things they can do in their day-to-day now to help themselves begin that process in the healing?
After a session?
Let's say before a session. Oh, let's start with before and then after.
So before a session, I send them emails because I want them to have like an intention. They don't have to, but really my biggest intention is, what emotions do you keep, defaulting to in your mind that need to be cleared? That's mainly. And then what emotions are out there that keep showing up in everybody else over and over again, so that they can see the pattern that's been happening since they were little, and the same thing's happening today. So my main thing is, think about the emotions that other people and yourself, because some people come to me in session and have no concept of emotions.
Right.
That's what creates your reality.
This audience knows that they're aware of their emotions. They're aware of what they create with their emotions. How can someone who is sensitive, who's a caretaker, who's a rescuer, and who maybe feels challenged, giving themselves something good, allowing themselves to feel good, allowing themselves to feel free in this wild world we live in? What would you tell her?
There's a couple things, and if I tell her anything, I would be talking to her mind. Right? And so in a session, the most important piece is the inner child. Because if you are not connected to that little person inside of you, you're telling that little person, we have to rescue these people to our detriment. We have to take care of them. We have to be there for them. We can't have any fun. And you're telling like a 7-year-old or a 5-year-old that. every day, all day long. And we would never do that to our kids, to our grandkids, to any little, little child. And so that would be the first thing, is you have to treat yourself like you are as innocent and as precious as that little person that where your lesson was first activated, where I usually take people, where the lesson first started and those emotions first came from. That's the first thing that they have to realize. The second one is they have to heal why they think they have to rescue everybody else, because all the rescuer wants is love. And so they rescue unconsciously, thinking, if I rescue you, will you love me? And that's not true. And that brings an unworthiness piece in there for the rescuer. And so you're telling the little girl, you're not worthy unless you rescue everybody else. And so it's, how do you heal that so you get off the triangle, so you don't attract the victims and the bullies anymore, and the little girl knows that she can be loved just the way she is.
Well, that's profound. That's profound.
Yay.
Let's go a little step further. So self-love, I'm not one to talk about, these hot terms online. If you were to describe what true self-love is, how would you do that?
If I think about, I've seen over 5,000 clients. And so some of the things that they say to me is, I picture that little girl as my daughter. I picture that little girl inside of me as my granddaughter. I mean, that how precious that you are to them, how much grace and beauty and acceptance and kindness and caring you give to them. To me, that's what love is inside. For you to recognize that you need to give that kind of energy that you give outside to those around you, that's what I consider to be that love, that self-love.
What would it do for someone to wake up in the morning and go to bed at night and practice giving that version of themselves love, instead of waking up in the morning on autopilot and, grabbing the coffee for their partner, making sure their partner's happy, making sure that everything online is copacetic? What would that actually mean? Like, what change would you see happening for them?
Before they even get out of bed, that's the first thing. I always call on my little girl, especially like during the day, if something happens and I get frazzled, I need to connect with her. Are you okay? What do you need right now? Do I need to give you a minute? I mean, it only takes a minute, to reconnect with that little one. And even before I get out of bed, are you good? Did you get a good night's sleep? How are you feeling? Do you feel, am I stressing you out?
That's
Kind of like what I
sweet.
have to do with my puppy every day, right? Are you getting exercise? Do you want some love right now? Same thing, I got to give it here, because if I don't give it here, then people don't know how to give it to me.
What congruency does that create? How does that happen, that when you begin to give that to yourself, naturally other people do the same to you? Sometimes they are not even doing it to themselves, but they'll treat you better because you're treating yourself better.
Yeah, so that's energy. That's how, that's how energy works. They treat us the way we treat ourselves. I had some student who was getting ready to divorce her husband because he was a bully, and through the whole 5 days, she's like, I'm divorcing him. And she gets home and she calls me and says, oh my God, I'm the bully. I've had people like, she's the bully, he's the rescuer. And so she would get mad and he would say, honey, do you know how much I love you? And it would fizzle out the bully. And so it starts to change the dynamics in the relationship. I had one lady say, my partner never initiates intimacy. All I did was a session and bring in the inner child, right? Take her to the upper world, connect her with her soul, teach her how to, connect with that little girl. And she goes back home and her partner initiates intimacy.
Wow.
So beautiful.
So during the Panini, I did a virtual session with you. So I've done in-person sessions. I did a virtual session. And, oh no, maybe this one was after the pandemic. I forget. But there was a point in the session. So we're virtual, we're via Zoom, and you have your drum. And I had I was having a prolific experience. And one of the things I appreciated about you is you were very direct. And you said, what's happening right now? Talk to me. Tell me what's going on. Do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? Do you need me to do this? And one of the things that I think is really going to have to come to light in these upcoming years as spirituality becomes more mainstream. It's going to have to become more grounded in, because it is grounded in. Like real, true spiritual work is grounded in. And I'm realizing when I look back on the practitioners I've really jived with, like yourself, you have that direct communication, you know your energy, you know your boundaries. Can you talk to me a little bit about how that journey came to be for you?
I think, I saw clients for a long time, and then I started teaching the medicine wheel, and then Spirit said, "You're done." It's like, wait, what do you mean? No, I'm not done. This is my income, right?
Mm,
And Two Bunch Palms called me. And
mm,
so then I became their resident shaman, and a couple other places I became their resident shaman. So I was doing classes and session after session after session after session. And what happened is it just evolved into this understanding how to weave the the healing into the other dimensions of the shaman so clearly that all the dimensions I was so familiar with that I knew what I could, as a shaman, you're a tracker, you're tracking into their energy on what
right.
needs to heal, what dimensions, and started to realize sometimes during a journey, people can see a squirrel and they take this road like, and they go
Oh,
off in another direction. So being very connected with them, making sure that they're seeing what I'm seeing,
yeah,
that they need to see is like very profound. So I'm intentional on exactly what they need to see, not like what energy they need to see. What it looks like is up to them. What it feels
right.
like is up to them. But the vibration is very intentional, and I'm making sure that however they weave that door, I get them to that answer that I know is behind the door. Does that,
Hmm.
does that answer? That was a long way to say that.
Yeah, no, I mean, you explained your process beautifully. And what I what I've come to find myself is that sometimes, naturally people don't always know what they're getting into. And I think it's the responsibility of the practitioner to make it clear to people the experience they can expect and not expect. That's number one. Number two is when, naturally in any circumstance, things can slightly go off course potentially, like you said, squirrel. And as a practitioner, being confident in yourself and your boundaries and spirit, obviously, in bringing all that back together is really important. Very important. In my particular session, I hadn't gone off track. We just had something beautiful enter the building, and it made me burst out crying. And it looked like I was sobbing from something negative when I was actually sobbing from something so beautiful. And you're like, what's going on? I was like, it's fine. It's great. It's beautiful. I just need to cry for a while. So, what do you wish more people knew about the potential journey for themselves as they go on this path of curiosity around their own spirituality, their own healing, and beyond healing too, but bringing their dreams to them? What do you wish more people knew?
I wish more people knew that the mind is trying to control us, that it comes from
Eh,
a place of fear, that it only sees the world between 0 to 7, and that it functions in making sure whatever happened during that time not happen again, and that it's controlling us and making us play small. And I wish more people understood that. I have people read certain books that, like Journey of Souls, that helps them understand the world of spirit, that you're a soul. And that if more people were connected to that part of them, there would be more understanding and not a need to defend or a need to have enemies or a need to feel unloved or insecure, because that's all the energy of the mind, and the soul holds a whole different understanding of why we're here and the truth of who you are. That will change the whole dynamics of mankind to step into that energy.
how beautiful. When people begin stepping into that new reality, right? They say, okay, so I've gone through sessions like with you, for example, and they're in the real world again because the real world takes a little bit of time to shift when our inner world has shifted. What has surprised people about their dreams coming true or not? Does that question make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I always love to hear because I tell people, if you have any questions, feel free to connect with me because nobody else understands what happened in the session
Mm,
because things can come up, right? Things can happen. Your mind is processing and putting all kinds of puzzle pieces together. But a lot of times when people go home because their energy is different, all of a sudden people start treating them different. And I
mhm.
want them to realize that that is happening because the mind will still short circuit saying, how come they're treating me different? What they'll say, did you cut your hair? What? There's something different about you. And wanting them to recognize that. So I have them create an altar too with all of the healing pieces so that the mind can continue to stay focused on that as well. Because we can go back to, it takes time to get the mind to surrender, to be held by the soul. And so that's our journey this lifetime is to get that to happen because they both want love. And so I think that process, takes time and people continue to come back because they felt so good. And then it starts to fade off because they don't know how to hold it fully. And then they come back,
Right.
they learn something new and they have new energy to hold. And so I think it's our process of life and they see the changes and they want to keep understanding how that's happening and the
Yeah.
miracles that happen and the healing that happens and the relationships that come in and the jobs that occur and I think that's why I do it is because their lives change.
Mm. What is an altar to you?
An altar to me is a is objects that represent wisdom that came through on the healing. It could be like in like it'll be like something that represents your soul to make sure you stay connected to your soul. It'll represent something that represents a little girl, so you stay connected to the little girl. It'll represent something like the soul part, so you make sure you stay connected to that energy, or the power animal, and they'll all be in that altar so that the mind has something to focus on, so that it doesn't forget. Oh yeah, new neural pathways were created, and I need to continue to hold that energy and honor that part of me, and get to and ground myself in it.
Thank you for that explanation. I haven't heard that explanation before. I was raised Catholic. Altar means something very different. And I've never wanted to like, culturally appropriate other people's altars too. And when you explain that, that feels really good. So thank you. Are there any other common misconceptions that you see or experience that you would just love to clear up for people around either your line of work or this work in general?
A lot of people say it's woo woo, and I think it's because they've never experienced it personally. A lot of times on TV, the shaman has a really bad, a bad rap and a negative, but everything has a light and a shadow, everything. And even those that work in the shadow are hit really hard by karma and darkness and aren't living happy lives. And as a shaman in the light, I realize that if I go into the dark, I will be hit really hard by spirit, shoving it right back at me. And so the intention of the shaman is to understand that you stay in the light, because if you don't, your life can take a turn. And it's being consciously aware that a lot of times we are living in, I don't want to be fearful anymore. I don't want to have no money anymore. I don't. And so all spirit hears is, I don't have it. And it's learning how to turn it around and be in that positive energy instead of the negative, because then the body can heal, the relationships can heal, the success can come, miracles can happen, beautiful experiences can come to you. And it's happened to all of us. We've all created like crazy, amazing, like your partner or just
Mhm.
amazing situations, but we need to learn how to do it all the time. And
Mm.
that's the energy of what the shaman does, in my opinion.
Can you give a concrete example of where someone may be dallying in the dark?
It's everywhere. Really, it's everywhere. Um, it could be as simple as somebody told me the other day, one of my clients, I feel like I am at the bottom. Everybody is above me, and I'm at the bottom. That's kind of delving in the darkness. The narcissist, the angry one, the one that picks up the gun, the one that is vindictive and vengeful, but they're delving in the darkness. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be a devil or a voodoo. It's
Right.
just it's just that archetype that comes out of us that we have to be really careful about because we're creating our own reality. We're hurting inside. Those people are hurting inside. I'm hurting inside, right? Because I'm the narcissist. I'm all that. And that pain is coming out in that delving dark energy.
Mm-hmm. So those are concrete examples, exactly what I asked for. Let's take it up a notch. What would be some examples of, say, somebody who is the overgiver, the rescuer, who is also conscious of her path and she's conscious of her healing, she's conscious of creating energy? What are some of the dark areas she could easily slip into? She may not be realizing it.
So I have a student who was a major rescuer, over the top, where everybody was going to cook dinner every night. She wanted to cook dinners for everybody every single night, but she had just had cancer twice.
Mm,
34 years old, twice. It came back in the same place.
mm,
Sometimes when you rescue to your detriment, it can be detrimental to your body, and it can break the body down, and the body can tell you, if you're going to continue to do this, it's hurting me, and I
mm,
have to show you that you being this way is hurting me, and unless you stop, because I want you to see I'm hitting you over the head with a bat right now twice because you didn't hear it. And so she called me the day before, I think right before the last medicine wheel started. And she goes, I don't know what to do. And, my life needs to change. I can't be this way anymore. And I says, you need to step into the next retreat. It's only been 4 months.
yeah.
She went on a 2 month healing journey in different countries. She has a new job where she's part ownership of a company now. She's moved to another state. She's just has this where she's going to be working less and has more support. And so as you start to do this work, it starts to unfold, the way life used to be, so that she can start to have a life where she's more honored and she can be rescued and taken care of instead.
Beautiful, beautiful. So these retreats and the workshops and the sessions you do, can you kind of explain to me a little bit how these come through you, how they culminate into these actual beautiful events?
I feel like a session gets people to understand kind of the work, because nobody knows what's going to happen once they get into
For
the
sure,
room at all.
for
And
sure.
then doing workshops to kind of open the door. This is what your energy field looks like, this is what the chakras look like, and then it's but the work really happens in the retreats. That's
Mm,
where we do the inner child, but all day long people will say, oh man, that made me feel like crap. You just told the little girl that, right? Or whatever it is, the fear, the shadow, the projection, the me, or the lesson. Every time it comes up, to be able to say, did you see that? Did you see that? Because in those moments and in those 5 days, I can continue to show them what they're doing that you can't see on your own. And so what has evolved is they start to see each other, to transformation. They start to see each other and what they're doing. And it creates this community where all of a sudden everybody starts to go like this. And instead of one session where somebody has this amazing experience here, it's everybody has these sessions and everybody goes like this. And so it's that, 100 monkey thing where everybody rises. I'm sure you understand that, all together. And so that's my intention. That's why I do what I do, is to help that evolution.
yeah. I think it was again during the Panini, I think I did a virtual, you had done an in-person event that you also offered a virtual option for, and you did it really well. I think that it takes practice for some people, but it was just, I felt like I could feel the energy work. I felt like I was included. You did a really great job. And that, me personally, that means a lot. It's not easy to facilitate energy work. It's not easy to facilitate it remotely. I think it probably looks easy, but it's not. And I can always feel that through with your work. So thank you. So why don't you tell us what you have coming up and where people can find you?
I have the next medicine wheel is okay. So I have an event with my next medicine wheel is coming up in a month or two, but I have to change the date because I have a TV event that is coming up that they want me to be a shaman on. So that date is will be on my website on yoursacreddestiny.com.
And
Tonight,
it is a very large TV event, by the way.
very
Yeah,
large TV
people
event.
probably will hear of it at some point.
Yes, I'm very excited. And, that's like you hold the right energy and things that you
Yeah,
never imagined can come to you.
totally.
And so tonight I'm doing a Discover Your Power Animal, which is a virtual event, and you can find that information on my website, Your Sacred Destiny. Every month I do I'm going through the chakras to explain them and how they affect the body and your relationships and your goals. That's coming up. But the big event is, and the one that I want everybody in because it changes your lives and is the medicine wheel. So you can find me on Shaman Dani on Instagram and Your Sacred Destiny on Facebook.
Perfect. And I'll include that information in the show notes here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danny. Is there any final thoughts, shares you wanted to share with this virtual online community, this beautiful online group?
I just wanted to say thank you, for what you do, that you ripple out this healing to everybody else, to help give the wisdom to everybody else so that their dreams can come true. And, you are this angel that does this work. And I just thank you for doing that. And I honor you for that. And I just hope that all your dreams come true as well.
Thank you. That makes me tear up. I appreciate that. It's so lovely to be seen. What's funny is the first few times you and I worked together, you didn't know what I did professionally. I didn't mention that I do energy work or healing work. And the third or fourth session, I was like, well, this is where I'm at with my business and I'm trying to navigate blah, blah, blah. And I remember you asked me, you said it was something along the lines of, but you help bring people back to themselves, right? Like you were checking me, like but you're not a healer saving people. And I was like, yes, don't worry. And here we are on the Your Energy First podcast and it comes full circle. So thank you so much. This was so lovely. To the incredible online community, I would love to hear in the comments what you thought of this episode, what you learned, what intuitive nudges came through for you, what were some aha moments. Danny and I would love to hear it, and we will co-create that experience again at a later date. Maybe have you back one of these days. It would be so lovely to commune again.
Thank you.
Bye.
It has been so great to connect here. If this episode resonated with you, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who you want to have more of these chats with. And as you move throughout your day, remember, your energy is your superpower. As you pay attention to it and trust it, you can watch your entire life begin to transform.